If I could somehow travel back in time and tell my 12-year-old self that I would be racing motorcycles in a few years, the younger me would not have believed what I was saying. For someone who had a hard time navigating through school life, never really fitting in anywhere, and being bullied for being different, there were two things that started taking me away from all of it. One of them slowed me down, while the other was all about speed. But both of them taught me to live in the moment that exists. This story is about the latter pursuit. While dirt riding started as a stopgap arrangement before I was eligible for my license, it steadily developed into a deep passion. When an opportunity to race in the hills for the first ever rally of Chamba came up, I knew I had to go. My parents, still hesitant about me racing but eventually convinced by my persistence, wanted to go to Himachal with me as well. Their plan? To travel in and around Chamba and be present if things went sideways for me. After all, this was the first time that I'd be putting myself in a position so ridiculously risky. Since my bike had left for Chandigarh 2 weeks prior, Shankar Da had generously given me his XPulse for a few days to practice with. The plan was to get used to knobby tires, since this was the first time that I was going to be riding with them. Just 3 days before we were supposed to leave, I went to one of my favorite home trails to get a final practice in. While returning, my father crashed his classic 350 into a ditch that he did not spot in time. It left him with an aching body, a sore ankle, and bruises all over. Thankfully, there were no fractures. Even though I did not tell anyone, this incident put a sizable dent in my confidence. I realized how easy it is for things to go wrong when you're on two wheels. 5th of June, close to midnight, we boarded a train that would ferry us over to Chandigarh. During the uneventful day and a half in the train, I felt like my excitement for the race was taken over by anxiety and fear. It was strange. It was underwhelming. But then, I started thinking about the brilliant times that I had while preparing for this event on a very short notice. After spending a day in Chandigarh and getting my bike checked up, it was time to ride to Chamba. Little did I know that all I needed was some seat time on Pola, my beloved XPulse, to put things in perspective and regain my confidence and exhilaration.
Hold on tonight, I'll follow you into the moonlight. Fear that makes me strong, I believe. To last the endless storm, and then to live to see the sunlight. persistence to prevail, I believe.
An hour into the ride, I stopped for a quick chai at a dhaba that was blaring Punjabi dance music at 7 in the morning. There I was, in unknown territory, all alone, warming my cold hands with a warm cup of very sugary tea. I was supposed to meet with three prominent riders in the Indian dirt scene at Jalandhar, and I was very excited. Amar Dev sir, who has participated in almost all of the Raid the Himalayas and has multiple podium finishes throughout the country. Jaipreet Joshi, or Captain Joe from the Indian Army, a survival trainer and established rally rider with a lot of experience under his belt. And J-Man, or Jayesh Bhaiya, a dedicated dirt rider, one of my most favorite artists, the inspiration behind this video, and someone that I really look up to. Someone that would become a very good friend.
हेलो
ब्रो कैपिटल होटल है या हॉस्पिटल है?
हाँ सर, ये हॉस्पिटल।
ठीक है. This was my first time meeting them and riding with them. Soon, we were in the lap of the Himachali hills. I could not have asked for a better way to bond. When you're riding with people who are faster and 100 times more experienced, it can go two ways. It can be an intimidating experience, or it can be an opportunity to slowly push personal limits. With every passing minute, I was crossing mental barriers, braking a little bit late, leaning a little bit more, discovering a rhythm. Little did I know then that this ride would be the foundation for the next 3 days of racing. The spectacular scenery that kept us company made us take stops, even when we were in a bit of a time crunch. That's what I love so much about riding. One moment, you are flying through twisties, jumping over obstacles and through landslides and dust storms. The very next, you are still, listening to birds singing, feeling the atmosphere around, until it's time to ride again. When we caught a glimpse of the magnificent Ravi River, we knew that Chamba was not far away anymore. A final tea and omelette stop later, we were flying through the beautiful golden sunlight, chasing our shadows as we neared our destination for the day. We found ourselves in front of a massive rally of Chamba Gate, welcomed by Vijay Katoch in his truck. The little town of Chamba had dressed up in the colors of the Chalo Chamba campaign. Race bikes and race cars from all over the country had come to traverse the Himachali hills. Sounds of free-flow exhausts had filled the otherwise calm, quiet and lesser-known part of Himachal. We went to the Chamba police ground and got our documentation done. The next day, we would have our super special stage in this very field.
Where
My parents were staying in a place called Not on Map that night. Funnily enough, I switched on my GPS and rode away to meet them.
You were young and the lights were bright. You went dancing into the night. You always said it would turn out alright. Suzanne.
It got dark when I was coming back, and the shimmering lights cutting through the evening mist was a sight to behold.
Is it everything?
I slowed down and made my way to the hotel where we were staying that night to meet the Bengal team.
Is it everything you dreamed it would be?
9th April, race day. I woke up feeling nervous, having heard stories about racing through the mountains the previous night. I skipped breakfast and rode straight to the police ground again. I was relieved when I saw a familiar bike and subsequently a familiar face. Urban Nomad, aka Dirt Speck, aka Karan. A big reason why I was racing in the first place.
गुड टू सी यू मैन गुड मॉर्निंग आ
हो गया स्कूटी नहीं आपका
अभी तो उसका हुआ है डॉक्यूमेंटेशन
हाय या ऑन द फोन
You see, a month after I got the XPulse, Doc from Pune asked Karan to show me the ropes of riding off-road in India. And that pretty much started it all for me. All the gear that I'm wearing right now, they are mostly generous hand-me-downs from him.
equipment you're going to be riding it. You can't be showing them these tires and then going on putting new tires.
Anishda from our Bengal team, who was prepared to race and had even shipped his bike over, suffered from an injury that kept him from coming at the last moment, which was very sad. However, he was extremely kind and transferred over his service back up to me. Now, 226 Motorsports was in charge of making sure that my bike stayed healthy. At the scrutiny, the confusion over tires was solved. I came to know that tires could be changed post-scrutiny as well. 20 minutes before the scheduled briefing, I set off with a technician from 226 to change to a new pair of knobbies. Luckily, we found a small shop a few minutes away. Once they came to know that I was one of the racers and that I was in a hurry, the whole team got involved. Just 5 minutes before the briefing, I returned.
डन मीटिंग है अभी
चलो ब्रीफिंग
After posing for Red Bull with the Bengal Adventure Riders team, it was time for the Triple S.
पानी देना
I thought I was prepared after having watched countless YouTube videos. I wasn't. I was finally here. This was it. For a moment, I imagined the worst. I would fall. Maybe I would come last. As a senior FMSCI official cleared up the rules for me, I tried to calm myself down. 10 seconds to go. I closed my eyes and told myself that I was going to have fun.
So now next up, I will go into it. This is going to be the referee from Burman, West Bengal.
And I did. I was 36th out of the 53 or so motorcycles. I had ridden well, I was happy. And then it was time to watch my heroes ride. I was overjoyed, living the dream.
সত্যি হ্যাঁ কি চালাচ্ছে ও এই টার্নটা জানে awesome riding.
After the Triple S, I came to know that my parents had come to watch me ride as well. Seeing them made me very emotional, and I realized how lucky I was to be there, doing something that I've always wanted to do, and how awesome they are. Ma was visibly worried, but I promised her that I'd be just fine. Once scrutiny is done, bikes can be taken out of park for me only when permitted. The officials had given us time to fill up our bikes, and so I went. I was stupid enough to get a tank full of petrol. On the XPulse, that's quite a lot.
फुल कर दो सर 420 कर दो फिर ठीक है 450 कर दो बस बस रख दो 40 पे रख दो ठीक है चलो सब एक साथ हाँ आज तो एक एक करके हुए वो ग्राउंड के अंदर हुआ आज
कल है सर सुबह
हाँ कल सुबह से 6 बजे से शायद पता नहीं अभी देखते हैं
वो रोड है
हाँ पूरा ऑफ रोड ही तो ज़्यादा तक ऑफ रोड होगा
हाँ
Time laid up in the deep blue sea, and everything alive brought inside of me to be. And time ain't no.
Tirthoda and I rode back to the town, only to be welcomed by this spectacular scene. I was grinning inside my helmet like a small child.
It's a broken heart. It's a broken heart. It's a broken heart. It's a broken heart. It's a broken heart.
The Triple S on day one had set the pace for what lay ahead. The fear had subsided. An intense rush of adrenaline had taken over. The mountains had called, and I did not know what was in store.
It's a broken heart.